Good evening, gearheads. Welcome to Speed City, live from Austin, Texas, your hometown motorsports radio show, broadcasting all over the planet via stream, YouTube, Facebook,
Austin, Texas, baby.
Twitter, whatever you want. This is John Massigill sitting in the studio, sitting in the studio with Jonathan Green and Les Kaiser. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you, boys?
Yeah,
If I was any better, it would hurt.
Well, I guess it could be better if your team had won. I don't want to totally down you out. Well, I figured
is that where you're going to start?
Hey, you came in second. I guess is that the way? Penalties? Is that what happened?
Is that what happened?
Grid places?
Just talk about my whole life with my football team, and yes, penalties is what you could talk about. Yes.
You mean soccer team?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to leave that there.
You think it's funny, don't you?
No, I don't. I was actually rooting for the Great Britain. What are they? Are they the
No,
Lions?
England. We beat Scotland, so couldn't be Great Britain.
Okay.
Welcome to Speed City Soccer Football.
We're going to talk motorsports. We have a great show of motorsports, actually.
I was going to change stations.
Because we have two race drivers coming on the show. We got first, we have Hunter McElrea, who's racing in the Indy Pro 2000 series. Just won last week at Mid-Ohio.
Yes.
And fifth, I think, in the championship.
Yep, fifth overall, and knocking down some good skittles.
He's been on the show. He's fun. He's a fun guest.
Great fun guy.
And we're going to talk a little Formula One with him, a little his career, and a little Indy Pro 2000. And we also have, after that, later in the show, we have race driver Alec Udell. He's with the Kelly Moss Academy. He's a race driver a long time. You've probably heard his name before, but he's going to come on talking about...
Yeah, if you pay attention to who gets on the podium, you've heard his name.
He's a Texan.
Yes, and we're going to talk a little. We're going to talk some Formula One stories, a little bit of everything.
Calendar,
yeah. Well, a lot about the calendar. Maybe some. We're going to talk about the possibility. We've talked about this before, but Les seems to think that there's even better chance now that Coda's going to get a second Formula One race right here in Austin. So with MotoGP now back on in October, we could have a very, very, very busy October. 3 World Championship points races in October.
Yes.
Let's see.
Then Halloween.
Yeah.
Austin style.
And then followed by Halloween. Yeah. We'll mention Formula E. It was in New York City this weekend. And I spent way too much time watching Goodwood.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
There's no such thing. Goodwood is so much fun. That wasn't Goodwood.
No, there was some of that at Goodwood, actually.
Yeah, probably so.
Did you see that Lotus? That 2,000 horsepower electric Lotus?
I did not.
It did not sound good, but man, it looked good. I didn't know what it was.
It didn't sound good.
Well, it looked awesome. It looked really good. So
what's going to happen with all these electric vehicles?
Well, the back of the Lotus has these huge ports in the back. I figure put some giant speakers back there and choose whatever you want. If you want an old Formula One V8 at 18,000 RPM, just plug it in, MP3.
There you go. It could happen.
Let's see. In fact, let's start with that, with Goodwood, because I didn't watch a ton of it, actually. I watched let me get up my notes, because I have some good notes about all of that. But I watched the shootout, the hill climb shootout.
Oh, I missed that.
And, they start with cars. The one the Mercedes from 1903 Mercedes, 60 horsepower.
And that takes 2 people in it, right?
That, I think, that was the 2 with the mechanic hanging out like a motorcycle sidecar guy.
Yeah.
So he could move the weight of the car around.
Before Ray Haroon invented mirrors.
Yeah,
well, it's not only that.
That's the man who won the first Indy 500. And he invented the mirror.
The mirror, yeah.
Because before that, those passengers were wheel changers and
Mechanics,
spotters. They were the official spotters. That was their job.
And rear view mirror.
Well,
guy.
yeah.
And
spotters.
even more so, they had a very practical in that on some of the vehicles, they actually operated the auxiliary fuel pump for when they're at high speed.
Oh, they were doing that?
Yes, that's right.
That's
be
in my
cranking on the
notes.
fuel speed.
That's right.
On the fuel pump.
And if they broke down, they would have to do the winder.
Yeah.
As well as make the sandwiches.
Or just get out and push.
Yeah.
And you all forgot about how much the weight distribution those guys made up of those cars.
Balance was another key.
Yeah. But they had the mechanics pumping on the dashboard, the pump straight out of the dashboard. And he was just pumping away as the car was going up the hill.
You see, now, that would be a better idea for the doubleheader at Coda. Let's get vintage
Mechanical
cars.
fuel pumps?
No, vintage cars, and everybody gets a passenger,
Ooh.
like an F2 driver or a winning fan. We could run a competition. You get to ride with Verstappen in the 1903.
Well,
Red Bull of its hero.
speaking of that, Lando Norris was at Goodwood driving the McLaren, which one was it? The MP4 5B.
Did he get any penalties?
6 grid places.
I want to talk about that later.
I do too. I'm glad you brought it up because I feel like I'm not as well versed as you're going to be on it. So I do want to talk about that, about last F1 race, all the penalties and all that.
Goodwood.
Goodwood.
So if
go
you
ahead.
don't know what Goodwood is, it is this fantastic international festival taking place there in England, the Goodwood Country Club / racetrack. And everybody that's anybody shows up there, and that's why Dave O'Neill's not here. But
I
anyway.
know. He was supposed to call in, but I have a feeling I know where he's
Yeah, I know
at
where
right
he is
about
at this
now.
Are you
hour.
kidding?
Yeah. So, but no, so everything imaginable will show up, all the way back from those, 1900 race cars to the modern stuff will show up, and you'll have personalities from all generations of racing, and it's always so much fun. One of the key things, I'm a Andretti fan. Mario drove his championship car this weekend while he was there.
Did you see him in one of those majestic old houses just looking out at the audience? It looked like the Pope.
Of course.
And it was perfect.
Kissing
Well, after that
anybody's
kiss
hand
of
or head. Yeah.
Elio Castroneves, he pretty much is.
And of course, it was Mario, so it was perfectly appropriate.
Ah, that is so cool. But
His grandson was winning at the weekend,
That's
too.
right. That's right.
Marco.
Marco won a race.
Yeah, well.
So is he done now?
You'd think so. You'd think he might scratch
What
the
did he
monkey.
win?
Marco's a nice guy, but oh man, I've been
not-
wishing for that a long time.
No, he's driving well. He was in the SRX series on
That's right.
Saturday night. And, got his first win.
We
Good
may
for him.
be actually up against that right now. CBS plays it. They don't play it live, but they play it, and I think it.
No, it was live yesterday.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, I
Okay,
watched
maybe it's a replay, or maybe was it the
You're not
app?
like my dad and recorded everything, do you?
Well, no, I think it was. You may have seen it. Was it the app or was it on cable TV?
I watched it on CBS non-cable TV.
Huh. Okay.
It's
Oh,
on
that's
national
good.
TV.
Well, I missed it.
As was Formula E. Big
Yes.
kudos to them. Motorsports is finally making it to mainstream. Or is CBS desperate? I don't know.
Yeah, one of the two.
But no, it's good news. I mean, if you remember, Formula E was on Fox Sports, and all seriousness, that's a big major thing for them. They've got a worldwide audience, obviously, but Formula E to get onto network television
Yes.
on a Saturday afternoon.
That's a very big deal. I
Pretty
agree.
darn, and Sunday. Good.
That's a nice lead into a story. We'll wait, but that story about the economic impact that you and I both stumbled
Yes.
across of motorsports in general. But a couple more things from Goodwood. My favorite car was, I know you'll know what it is, Les. I don't know, Jonathan, but a Chevrolet Cheetah.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Do you know what that is?
Well, I know it's probably a Chevrolet with spots on.
No, but it kind of looks like a Ford from the 60s. Oh, I'm trying to think. Anyway, it has almost no back end. The end of the wheels is almost the end of the car.
It's-
A
yeah.
6.9 liter, probably just board and stroke Chevy small block.
Right.
But it sounded awesome.
So you're right. So the Cheetah, for our foreigner buddy, looked like a Shelby
He's got a green
Daytona.
card.
Yeah, green card, not a Texas card.
Yeah, that's
But
what it looks like. It looks like a Daytona.
Looks like a Shelby Daytona that's the tail's been kind of docked and
Gotcha.
Yep.
shortened.
Okay.
It was through the early 60s, like, 62, 3, 4 area through
Yep.
about 66, 67. And
Last
Chevy's-
time England won a major trophy, yeah.
You did it to yourself. I didn't
did.
do it that time.
I did.
But yeah, wicked kind of, rear heavy design vehicle, and it was really fast, really quite competitive. It was, I think the designer was out of California here, but anyway, yeah, pretty wicked car. You just don't see very many. The last time I did see one was at Laguna Seca for
Oh, okay.
the Rolex Historics.
Ah.
There's another really cool car that I'm trying to get a picture of it so I can send it to Casey, our producer. And it's a 1911 Fiat. And it looks like a little narrow single seater, but it's actually got 2 seats. And it's about 3 times as tall as it is wide. It is a crazy, I'm trying to put this. I'll put it in the chat, Casey. But it is a really cool old Fiat from 1911.
But it was, if that's what I'm thinking, it was actually almost using a industrial motor. So it was really tall and really big.
Well, it was fast because
Yeah.
it averaged. Oh, let's see. I don't know what it averaged, but it's a really crazy cool car. And there's a couple. And the biggest crash that I saw, at least in the shootout, was a NASCAR, 2012 NASCAR. And
Was it in a right turn?
yeah, that's what happened. It hit the hay bales in the front, then hit the back, and then hit him again. It just totally shredded the car and stopped all the action for a while.
Did Tony Stewart get out and throw his helmet?
No, but it was that was the bummer of the of Goodwood. But
Goodwood's great.
I
It
know
really is.
you've been, Jonathan.
That's a
I've been to
bucket
Goodwood.
list.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you are a racing fan and you're looking not to get involved in the maelstrom that is the F1 Grand Prix in Britain, because that's pretty busy.
Next weekend.
Yeah. Go and Goodwood, or do both. Yeah,
I was going to say, I'd love to arrive, go to that.
You don't know whoever you're going to bump into. You could bump into Jenson Button. You could bump in, and all the drivers are by the cars. And generally speaking, you can walk around, and you will see some amazing sights. It's a private event, really. I mean, it's the Earl of March or the Lord March, and it's on his private grounds, and he's been holding it for several years. Well, several decades now. And they hold two events, actually. They have another one which is more race orientated. And the cool thing about that is everybody retro dresses up and they have Spitfires and everybody's in white overalls. So it's completely, all the women dress up in 50s gear and it's really cool.
What were the planes called? They're like the Thunderbirds, but it's
Spitfires.
There's a different name. I can't remember what. The planes are Spitfires, but the group is called like the Blue Angels, but it's something else.
The team.
But there were 3 Spitfires. It was really, really fun to watch that.
Yeah, we've got to, I missed it, but our friend Gemma Scott played monkey on
Gemma.
a sidecar motorcycle.
Did she really? I saw her doing some
To
segments.
one of the girls, with one of the
That sounds
lady
like her.
racers. Yeah. Oh, I'd be all over playing monkey on one of those.
All right, guys. Well, let's get into our first break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some Formula One. We'll talk about the, last week, the penalties and stuff first when we come back. You're listening to Speed City Live from Austin, Texas. Back after these messages.
Hi, this is Gene Haas, and this is Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
Let me give out the phone number if anybody wants to join the show. 512-643-LIVE, 512-643-5483. All right, we have our guest on the line and young race driver from
New Zealand.
New Zealand, that's what I thought. And Hunter McElrea, and he's currently fifth.
Well, he's from Texas if he keeps winning.
Well, yeah. Currently fifth in the Indy Pro 2000. Won last week at Mid-Ohio. Hunter McElrea, welcome back to Speed City, buddy.
Thanks, guys. It's good to be back on and good to see you all again.
And good to see you. And it says hometown Los Angeles, California, so we are going to start claiming you.
Yeah. It's a long debate of where I'm from. I mean, it's probably one of the most confusing nationalities, I guess. With I was obviously born in LA, and then my whole family heritage from New Zealand, and I have dual New Zealand and American citizenships, and I've just raced under the New Zealand flag my whole life purely because my whole family's from there, and obviously with my passport. But obviously, I also grew up in Australia for a pretty large chunk of my life, so I have three kind of
You're from everywhere.
three kind of nationalities going. And it's always a joke. Like Rob Howard, and the commentator, is always kind of getting confused. He's like, dude, I don't even know where you're from when I'm trying to announce it in the middle of the races, which is kind of funny. And everyone else gives me a hard time about it. But I'm really proud of, obviously, to race under the New Zealand flag. And I have a lot of great support from New Zealand and also Australia and America too. So, yeah, it's funny. It's always a funny talking point. I definitely think I have probably the most unique background with nationalities in the field, that's for sure.
Well, let's get down to the nitty-gritty, though. Great racing. You're beating the likes of Artem Petrov, not a bad peddler. Kevin Simpson leading the FR Championship. These are all good guys. Tell us about Mid-Ohio. I mean, finally all coming together, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy year. I obviously started out well at Barber getting a win, and then I was on pole at St. Pete, and the middle part of the year was just super tough with a lot of bad luck and basically just, issue after issue out of my control that kind of was holding me back from showing what I could do, and also what was showing all the hard work the team have done to give me a really fast car this year, which I think obviously has been shown. I got pole position and 1 minute higher, so that was an awesome bounce back for sure. I mean, I couldn't really ask for a better way to come back. Even though I just got a podium, I think I would have felt like a win after the rough middle part of the season. But to dominate like I did at Mid Ohio was awesome and obviously much needed. So great points, helped out a lot. But I'm just really, really happy because to come back literally, a week ago or a week before the race was Road America, where it was just so tough with so many issues out of my control, and then it mentally can hold you back sometimes. But everyone worked really hard, and everyone put their best foot forward and kind of cleared their head, myself and the team. And yeah, I just managed to wipe it all off and clean slate, and then just do what I do, and to dominate with the pole and win. And Mid Ohio, obviously this year the field is super competitive. There's everyone is, it's kind of, there were 17 cars at the start of the year, which is a big field, but it's kind of, we've obviously lost a lot of cars. So it's about 12 cars right now, but they're all very fast. So, I think there's guys like Braden Eves, obviously.
Who you've been battling with for a couple of years now, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's those guys who I've been battling with from a couple of years ago, but there's also, Petrov, like you said, and so many new guys like, Kiffin Simpson. He's a young kid, obviously he's super young, but he's been doing a lot of laps and he's obviously quick too. So
yeah, you basically got the FR leader and Hunter McElrea, the F4 champion, who effectively are on the other side as well as being on the road to Indy.
Yeah, so the field is so tough. So to do what I did, it makes it even more sweeter. So the win, obviously, you guys know this, being around racing a long time, there's tough days sometimes, unfortunately, but when you get a win, it makes up a lot for the bad days.
Hunter, I got to ask you, so, what you did is pretty phenomenal, but what are some tips you would give somebody to get out of their funk and get their head back on straight? I mean, that's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I'm not going to lie, that guy was fine and happy and always positive. I was really, really low. I was at really low points. And pretty much the lowest of lows you could really get. But I think, everyone's different in the way they handle things. I'm a person that honestly, I'm a kind of emotional guy where I show my emotion. And, I needed maybe a little bit of time to kind of feel sorry for myself. But after that, it was about regrouping. And you've just got to, you got to, number one, believe in yourself and believe in the people around you to get the job done. Because it takes not only in this sport yourself, but also the team. So you guys are going to be united as one. And if there's one, the team gives you the great car and the driver doesn't do the job, then, it's on you. And then obviously you got to expect it both ways. You got to demand a good car, which I've been really lucky to have from Paps Racing, giving me a rocket at Mid Ohio. But you also have to do the job. So together, you just got to put your heads together and make the most of what you have. And, showing up to every weekend, you just got to have a fresh mindset and not bring that with you, because if you're bringing, bad results with you, all it's going to do is, stop anything good that could possibly happen in the future. Like what's in the past is in the past. And I feel like it's a lot easier said than done, but you really got to just look forward, because at the end of the day, even right, all of us, whatever's happened in the past has happened, good, bad, or in between. And the only thing that any of us can do is looking forward, is to change what can happen. So
well, now that you've got
it's hard, and I think honestly, probably
you got this win under your belt. You got this win under your belt, though. I mean, that changes everything, right? I mean, I've seen drivers after they have a win like this, their confidence skyrockets. And I mean, I know it's motor racing, right? We never know what's going to happen next week. You might show up and a complete engine failure, right? But I mean, I've seen it before. You've got this win under your belt, don't you? You probably feel like you're going to be doing better and better now.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, I obviously, like I said, I won at the start of the year, and I kind of was like expecting the momentum to carry from that. And then for one reason or another, it's just been so much bad luck, basically, to not get too much into it. But now to kind of get that out of the way and then come back and do that. And for me, the best thing is that we're going back to Mid-Ohio to finish the year off. So it's like, obviously I have momentum, but I also have the confidence in that I was super fast, obviously. And going back there, it's kind of, mentally, it's already quite nice knowing that I won there and I'm going back there to finish the year. So in the back of my mind, even though it's not, the next race and the next challenge ahead of me, I know in the back of my mind that I've got another opportunity to win 2 races no matter what happens. So, I'm just excited, like you said, to get a little kind of momentum and in this game, it's a lot of confidence can affect you a lot just subconsciously. And it's a very mental game. So to get that win, like you said, is definitely going to help me, I think, finish the year off really strong.
Now, listen, next up, like you said, Mid-Ohio coming up, so is Jersey. But the one I'm really looking at is Worldwide Technology, Madison, Illinois, and Oval. I know you've done one already, but what is your take, given that you're not an Oval man, per se?
I mean, yeah, like I like ovals, honestly. I had a really good race last year at the Freedom 90 at Lucas Oil, where I got my first oval podium, which was big for me.
Sure.
Like you said, I don't really come from an oval background. But it's definitely something that I'm learning a lot of. I think, I haven't even done 5 oval races yet. So obviously, like you said, I'm a lot less experienced. But in saying that, a lot of everyone else also doesn't have too much experience in ovals at this level. Kind of similar circumstances to me that, the road to Indy is their first kind of experience on these types of tracks. So I have unfinished business, definitely. I think at Gateway in particular, last year I didn't exactly have the result I wanted at all. But, it's a new opportunity. And I think coming off a win, I have opportunity to test there as well, which is going to be huge. So, I'm excited. I mean, it's just another challenge, and I would really, really love to get my first oval win, and obviously be perfect timing as well. So, yeah. Why not make it 2 wins in a row? It seems a good place to do it.
Hey, Hunter, I want to ask you about some Formula One topics here, because when we went to break, we said we're going to talk about Formula One. Jonathan, introduce the topic about the regulations last week and all the penalties and everything.
Yeah, I think why Hunter can talk to this is, I cover the junior series pretty closely, and, you're always got a race director in your ear telling you what you should and shouldn't be doing on the racetrack. And we had an F4 race the other day where things went wrong. And, so it's all a learning. When you're at Pro 2000 level or US 2000, you're learning all the time, and you're always up in front of race direction, even if there's the whole field sometimes. But when it gets to Formula One level, I just wonder whether the penalties that we're handing out in Austria, particularly to Norris, who is suddenly becoming an arch villain in Formula One and is literally one step away from a race ban, which I just don't see. And I just wondered what your take on that was, Hunter.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like, I know that a lot of people were split on the whole Lando thing. Like, some people thought it was just a racing incident, and others thought that he deserved a penalty. But I think for me, being really honest, there's been some F1 races that have been obviously so boring, just with no racing at all. So I think
but this year's been good though, hasn't it?
This year's been really good. And that's what I was getting at is that this year there's been a lot of really good racing and really close racing, and the Red Bull and Mercedes battle. And I think when they're, giving these penalty points out, it kind of is incentivizing the drivers maybe not to race as hard, which, I'm not saying for them to go feed wheels left and right and just drive drive stupid. But I think that there has to be a little bit of wheel to wheel rubbing and banging, because at the end of the day, that's racing. And in my opinion, with the whole Lando Norris thing, I think that was a racing incident, and that's what we like to see is that sort of close racing. So I really think that they have to be careful, like you said, Jonathan, with the penalty points, and Lando is on a fine line. He's close to getting a race ban, so he obviously isn't going to be pushing as hard as he would wheel to wheel, or without
Sure.
Well,
worrying about getting a penalty point and missing a race.
Well, the I was thinking about this, and they did call the subsequent penalties correctly if you follow the rule book.
Yeah.
But what I want is either some flexibility or something, because I didn't like what was happening. But I think that and I do like that the drivers that everybody's complaining, because we're sitting here talking about, and that's how things change, right?
And I think the penalty that was far more egregious that weekend was Vettel on Alonso in qualifying.
Absolutely.
He gets 3 places for that. And frankly, if I were Alonso coming at the speed he was coming at on a lap that he's going hell-bent for leather, it's got to be more dangerous and therefore more... I don't know.
All right, well, guys, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue with Hunter McElrea and talking Formula One, Indy Pro 2000, and more. Listen to Speed City live from Austin.
Hi, this is Max Verstappen, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
All right, welcome back to the show. Jonathan, you've got something to say.
Yes, I would like to know Hunter's take on the man we just heard from, Max Verstappen. And then, Hunter, following that, because I'm going to put you on the spot because I love doing that, George Russell, in or out, Bottas's drive, what's going to happen? First of all, what do you reckon to Max at the moment in terms of his driving?
I think it's great. In my opinion, I think Verstappen is on par with Lewis. I think Lewis cops a little bit of unfair kind of criticism, saying that it's all the car, which obviously the car has helped him a lot. But I think Lewis is definitely one of the greats of all time. But I also think that Verstappen is too. So this year, to see a little bit of the change of the guard, it's really cool because I feel like it's overdue. And in one way, I feel a little bit sorry for Verstappen in the sense of, like, he was definitely, he won a race at, I think, 17 years old.
Yep.
So it was like, he's going to be the youngest world champion in F1 ever. But he just hasn't, because of the Mercedes dominance. And he's still crazy young. Like, 23 years old is still very, very young to be doing what he's doing. But the funny, ironic thing is he's probably not going to be the youngest, or he's not going to be the youngest world champion ever, because this year, even if he wins it, Vettel will still be younger than he was when he won his first one. So,
which is ironic because he got 4 for Red Bull. Yeah.
But I think he's really matured a lot. Just I think his presence and his maturity and his racing craft has matured a lot just in the past couple of years.
Yeah, well, and also
Definitely.
it helps when you're fighting for the championship too. The frustration level goes down, and his car is near perfect right now and all that. So, hey, so let's talk about George Russell. Like, I want to get your take, Hunter, but before we do that, I want to play this clip that we caught up with George Russell when he was here for the 2019 USGP here in
last
Austin.
century.
I know, it seems weird.
It feels like it, doesn't
it? was the last Formula One race here at COTA that's been that long. I hate that. But we talked to him about his career and a particular little move. So let's hear that interview with George Russell.
You have a really interesting story I read about where you had a crossroads moment in your career where you were offered to drive in DTM with BMW. As a paid driver, you've met your goal. You're now a professional race driver. But you decided to go a different route, and talk about that.
Yeah, so that's right. I mean, I had this really solid, amazing offer on the table from BMW to become a fully professional driver. But at the same time, I had a phone call from Mercedes. They said they were interested, but there was nothing they could offer for that current season. But they said, if you do a good job this year, we'll assess you on our simulator. If we believe you're ready, we'll have an option to sign you at the end of the season. But there was no guarantees, so I had to turned down the offer with BMW because Mercedes wouldn't have wanted to take a driver from another manufacturer for something that was not set in stone. But it was a risk. But at the end of the day, I thought I was still young. I was only 17 at the time, and I sort of had my whole life ahead of me. That if the Formula One dream didn't pay off, I would still have the opportunity to maybe look at other avenues. And I think if I didn't take that, I would have probably regretted it for the rest of my life. But then again, I could have got to the end of that season and Mercedes said, I'm not for them. And I'd have just lost that, huge contract I had that was set in stone. That would have set me up for the next 10 or 15 years. So it was definitely a gamble, but a gamble worth taking.
So, Hunter, you were just talking about being in the depths, and here's George Russell, who's on the precipice, maybe, of going to one of the best Formula One teams, and talking about, maybe if they didn't want him, maybe he's not going to make it to Formula One. So, first of all, can you commiserate? But also, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think he's going to go to Mercedes?
I think he's going to go to Mercedes for sure. I think that without a doubt, he showed last year when he did that race at Bahrain how strong he was. And I was surprised. I knew he was going to be fast, but I thought, if he's within a couple tenths of Bottas and gets on the podium, he'll be to just jump in a car like that and do that, because not many people really understand the intricacies of a car that you get to know.
And you can relate. He didn't even fit in the car, did he? He didn't really fit. You being, 6'3"?
Yeah, I mean, there a lot of stuff was suboptimal as well. That wasn't him. That wasn't the fastest that he was going to be. Jumping in a car cold turkey. No preconceived idea. I know he's done tie tests and stuff like that, but jumping straight into a race weekend and learning all these things, there's so much time in that, and just being comfortable and knowing your car like an old shoe, an old pair of shoes where you just slide in, everything. So for him to basically, in my opinion, he basically won that race in his control. He had the race won and done. And then obviously what happened is part of racing, unfortunately. It's what makes the highs so high and the lows so low, is that in this game, there's a lot out of your control, which can hurt you. And he obviously didn't win and didn't even get on the podium. But the underlying thing was that he won. He kind of won in everyone's eyes.
He won everybody's hearts.
Yeah.
Everybody who watched that agrees with you. He should have won.
He was on it.
He should have for sure been on the podium. I mean, what was he got the wrong set of? He got some of Bottas's tires or something at one point. It was crazy.
Yeah. It was a complete ball drop from the team, which was crazy.
Yeah, which is so unlike them.
How perfect. Yeah, considering how perfect they'd been all year to that point, it's wow, that's interesting. But to answer your question of do I think he's going to take the Mercedes seat? Yeah, I definitely think.
Where does Bottas go?
I'm with you.
I think, honestly, it's hard, because I'm not going to say that Bottas hasn't done a good job, because that would be not the case. He's won F1 races. He's got a lot of podiums. Obviously, he's had the machinery to do so. But, you look at guys, no matter what, Hamilton will be one of the F1 greats. And you could make a case that he is the best of all time. And being against a guy like that would be so tough, because it's not the usual kind of thing where there's two, the best team and then two really good drivers, where it's kind of like Rosberg and Hamilton was, and I think, to be honest, you could also make a case for Nico Rosberg was actually a lot better than most people thought too, but that's a whole nother topic.
I was thinking that. I was just thinking that when you were talking about Bottas.
Yeah, but I would say, you look at Barrichello and guys that were against Schumacher, they were always second to him. And that wasn't to say that they weren't world championship level drivers. It's just they were against Schumacher.
Yeah.
And Bottas has just been against Hamilton, and to constantly be against that and be dealing with that and having to be compared to that.
Is that your stomach, Jonathan?
Always, it just must be so mentally taxing for Bottas. And I think, honestly, his time has passed. without sounding, too doom and gloom for Bottas. Obviously, it's not.
What could he do
would
for a
wanna
team
hear.
like Williams or Alfa Romeo?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably what will end up happening is he'll end up getting a seat like that. Who knows if he goes back to Williams? He used to race for them, obviously.
That seems like the most
But
likely.
I think, yeah, being realistic, I think Russell has shown time and time again that he kind of needs the opportunity.
Mhm.
Who knows? Maybe he goes and dominates Hamilton. Maybe he has a season like Rosberg did, or maybe he's as good as Bottas in the Mercedes car. No one knows. He's obviously shown how good he is, but we don't know what he's like against Hamilton back to back in the same car. And I think everyone's wondering that. So I would love to see him in that seat. And personally, I think that he would be challenging Hamilton as good as Rosberg was, if not better. But you'd have to wait and see. Obviously, I'm not a fortune teller, but knowing what I know and judging what I've seen from him, I definitely think that he's got what it takes to win a world championship.
Well, I think Bottas will wind up at Williams, and I think he will be kind of the leader of the team, against Latifi, certainly.
Latify?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ludi. Yeah. And so
No sugar in mine.
So anyway, I think Bottas is going to wind up being number one driver. I think he's going to bring a lot of experience, and I think that's going to rejuvenate Williams and keep them going the direction they've started. But I kind of feel like the maturity of Bottas is going to be supportive of that team and their direction.
He's a hell of a driver.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Williams. Russell's just got to. He's too good right now. He's got to take this opportunity. And I know that he will, but it looks like it's about to happen.
He's paid his dues as well. I mean, this is going to be his third full-time year. Wait, 2019. This will be his third full-time year in a Williams, which
It's
obviously
soul destroying.
It's kind of like it's a waste. It's a. I'm not saying that Bottas in the seat is wasting the seat by any means, because obviously he's a Grand Prix winner, right? But for a guy like Russell, it's just a waste to have him running around where he is. And he's doing some really good things, obviously qualifying in Q3 and, just missing out on points. And that's impressive. And I think obviously it shows that he can get every last bit of speed out of the Williams. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens.
Hey, I want to talk about. We just got about 1 minute before we got to go to break, but the sprint races that are about to happen at Silverstone, I want to just give us a quick 30, 40-second take on what you think of that.
That's going to be awesome. I can't wait for that because it's so new.
Yeah.
Because
I like your attitude.
I think that's what F1 needs, is that it needs some unpredictability. That's I think what it lacks, obviously, with the certain teams being so strong. You can kind of really guess who's going to be where and who's going to be strong at this track or whatever. But to have this kind of unpredictability with, okay, maybe they qualify on pole, but who knows, in the sprint race it's going to determine the grid, they have a crash and then they start last, or something like that. So I think it brings this whole new element of what's going to happen. Maybe Lando Norris breaks through for a win or something like that. You just never know. So I think the unpredictability of it is going to be super exciting.
Awesome. I am so happy that you said that you're excited about it.
Yeah, me too.
I am. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm excited about it. All right, guys. Hunter, you want to stick with us? We're going to have Alec Udell, but why not? Let's make it a party.
Well, we want to talk about coaching.
Yeah, exactly. So
Something
stick
you're
with
doing.
us. All right, stay with us through the break. We got Alec Udell coming on. You're listening to Speed City live in Austin. Back after a quick break.
Hello to everyone, this is Gunther Steiner, this is Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
All right, welcome back to the show.
That's the guy with the car. The car.
That was Gunther.
I'm not Gene.
We haven't talked to Gunther in a while. There's really not been much to talk
No, I'm
about.
not Gene. I'm Gunther.
I'm not Gene, I'm Gunther. Inside joke, folks.
That was less on the grid at Monaco.
Yeah, excited.
Calling Gunther
Awesome
Gene.
debut, buddy.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think Gunther will remember me.
All right. Well, we have our next guest on the line. We're going to keep Hunter McElrea on the line with us too, but we are very excited to welcome Alec Udell from the show. And to the show, Alec is a longtime race driver with Kelly Moss Racing as well. Alec, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you guys. Very excited to be here this evening.
Well, thank you very much for spending your Sunday night with Speed City. We appreciate it.
You should be practicing the guitar, I can see in the back.
Yeah, exactly. You got me in my my little office here.
Hey, Alec, well, just give an introduction to yourself, first of all, because I know you with Kelly Moss, but you've also had a great racing career.
Yes, definitely. So I'm 25 years old. I've been driving since I was 5. Started out in go-karts, as most kids do these days. And I've raced kind of all over the world, spent some time in Europe in the GT4 series in 2019, won that championship, won GT3 Cup championship in the United States in 2016. And then I transitioned in 18 a little bit to do driver coaching, started with Kelly Moss then. And I've been driving in GT3, GT4, GT3 Cup this year with Kelly Moss in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo car.
That's where I saw him.
He wasn't finished. He's still
Sorry,
going.
carry on.
Okay.
Sorry, 3 blinky boys in studio.
In a Mercedes AMG GT4 and GS. And then we've got this coaching platform, this online, basically being able to prepare yourself for the racetrack before you get there. Because that's what a lot of what we do with our driver academy, the people that we work with in terms of coaching with Kelly Moss Road and Race. And so bringing that into a place where we're able to help people understand what it takes to compete at a championship winning level, which is what we do.
So that's what I've been doing this week. Yeah, hanging out with Alec in the Kelly Moss
Well, no,
Racing.
tell us.
Yeah, online.
No, this is generally a very cool approach to it because, not all of us have a track, convenient Formula One track, 20 minutes from the office. But Alec goes through and he helps you with mindset, things to think about your car. Regardless of whatever track you go to, he really kind of helps you appraise this before you get there, how to set yourself up and walk in already in that mindset, not to have to just drink from the fire hose when you arrive. So it's been a great series. I've been enjoying. Some of it is, easy refreshers, but some of it like, that's a good take or a good approach for it.
Well, Alec,
and the whole thing is sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just say the whole thing is it's how, I approach the track, how I approach getting ready for the racetrack. And so it's just bringing that preparation, which, it's very seldom that you can get to the racetrack. So being able to take advantage of all the time that you have, it's different than most other sports. And so people don't really appreciate it for what it is, I think.
Yeah, Alec, we've also got Hunter McElrea, who races in Pro 2000, and he's going to be doing a little coaching next week at Brainerd. And, I mean, to a certain extent, I'd be interested for you guys to on-air swap notes a little bit. Do you find the same thing, Hunter, in that you're also bringing your game, but what's your take on the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's totally different in the sense of I kind of do a little bit of the coaching on a part-time basis in between races when I can. And it's a lot more kind of at the track. But like Alec touched on, most of the work has to be done before the track, because it's the actual time you spend driving relative to how long you have before and after the event to prepare for it is pretty much almost more important because, I like to say the easy part actually is driving the car. And, the preparation and everything before that is the work. And what I kind of do at the track, it's obviously there's stuff like looking at the data and looking at the video and things like that. But a lot of it also, depending on if you're working one-on-one with the driver or working with a bunch of different drivers, I find when I've worked with one-on-one with a driver and knowing this from, driving myself, it's a huge mental game and keeping yourself in that mindset of, that's almost a sweet spot of what you need to be in to compete at your best level. Because if you're not necessarily maybe have your head in the game or something like that, yeah, it definitely can hurt your results on track.
Yeah. Alec, does that resonate with you as well?
Yeah, totally. And a lot of what we do, of course, at the track is going to be the data analysis, the video analysis, and those systems are extremely helpful. And so it's taking that and applying that same concept to in between the races, because once we get there, there's it's such an information overload when you're at the track. A lot of the guys that I'm working with are gentleman drivers, and so being able to help them really understand and kind of detach from the day-to-day, the business elements that they have in their lives. And then we work with, of course, the junior drivers as well through the Kelly Moss program, and being able to get them, like Hunter was talking, in the right mindset. And they may have the skill, and they might be able to put the laps together, but it's important to be able to do that consistently and get yourself into a mindset where you're like not just focused on driving a fast lap, but competing and driving at a high level, which it can. I mean, the mindset is extremely important. That's a lot of what we focus on in the online academy here is getting your mind right, because if your mind's not right, then you're going to have a bad time out on track.
That's really cool. I have not heard of anybody else besides Kelly Moss doing this. I've not. Is this? You think this is going to be something we're going to see more of? Do you think it was from COVID?
Yeah, I think it definitely is. Over the last year, of course, with all different in-person things being canceled and lockdowns and whatnot, there was this wealth of information that we had, and we were like, okay, well, we use a lot of this anyways with our normal drivers on the team. And so how can we take this and put it into a platform where we're able to not only share it with the people that are racing with us, but also reach a larger audience and be able to, even when we're not at the racetrack, doing our favorite thing, which is working with drivers and talking racing.
So we've got a young driver in the studio. He's really just it's just classic Zoom these days. We had a dog in the studio. His puppy. He's not, but
okay. I'm going to tell you, Alec one-upped the puppy in the studio. So one of the nights this week, we're the online course, and we're all intent and focused on that, and then Alec starts getting kind of overridden audio-wise by a car on a dyno in the shop because he's out in the edge of the
that's
shop.
Okay.
That's all right.
That's cool.
I like
how's that for a great setting? But about the Kelly Moss Racing, and y'all definitely need to check it out. KellyMossRacing.com. Look for the Driver Academy. Victoria Thomas is a big proponent of that. One of the founders.
I think it's KellyMoss.com, and it's Kelly Moss Road and Race now. Isn't it? Is that correct, Alec?
That's correct. Yeah, KellyMoss.com, and there's a Driver Academy tab. And then, the team is Kelly Moss Road and Race. There you go. That's the site right there.
There you go. But it's great because it does all these things that you can do away from the track and start getting prepared for it. And just a lot of fun. It's a lot of value, even if you've been out on the track and you've just been away maybe through the pandemic. Definitely a lot of value to it.
Yeah, and this is not a sponsored thing at all. This is just we thought it was a cool thing they were doing. So
yeah, hey, Kelly, last time they were here, Kelly told me about it. Excuse me, not Kelly. Victoria told me about it here at COTA, and was like, "You need to check it out." And it was Carissa Cobb that also brought it up. So,
hey, Alec, I noticed you looks like you have the right chair for a racing rig. Do you got to set up and do some online like actual sim and racing? And what do you do? Do you game or what do you do?
Yeah, I kind of do it all. I grew up as a gamer. I think that's pretty normal for this time. So I play, of course, a bunch of racing games. I spend a bit of time on iRacing, a little more time on Assetto Corsa because my GT4 championship car is on that game. So I spent some time driving my own car.
Oh, that's cool.
How do you look in animation? Are you happy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the photo, it's our screen or our headshot from the season. So that's pretty cool.
That's very cool. Hey, listen, I want to ask you before we go. We're heading out now.
We got 2 minutes.
I just want to find out what you both are doing next. I know we've heard from Hunter. He's taken on the oval in Illinois, but he'll be back at Mid-Ohio, 5th in the championship. Alec, I do remember now because I was scratching my head. I saw you in IMSA at Mid-Ohio.
Yes.
In the Super Trofeo. Great season there. How's that going?
Yeah, so we just finished up Watkins Glen a couple of weeks ago, had 2 podium finishes there, and the next Super Trofeo race will be in August. The next Mercedes race is this weekend at Lime Rock. So I'll be heading up there this week, and then on to Road America in August.
Any dibs on Bottas's seat, given that you're an AMG man?
Oh, I'd love the opportunity.
Hey, I want to
Just
ask
like
you.
anyone would, of course.
Yeah, I want to ask you, Alec, real quick. We asked Hunter earlier about the sprint races coming up at Silverstone. Yay, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I think it's going to be interesting. Of course, I like seeing strategy in motorsports. It's a very different element that you get to see. So when strategy is out the window and people just have to show their outright speed, it's going to be really cool.
Well, I'm just happy they're giving us the opportunity to
do something,
to view this, to see, do something. All right, well, gentlemen, thank y'all. And wait, we got one more quick topic, Jonathan. We got about 30 seconds. I wanted to ask you about. I want to talk about. We hadn't mentioned the Australian, canceled.
Yes.
And China unlikely, but you're also you think Japan's.
Well, I can't see how Japan's going to go on. I think the Olympics is going to struggle. They've already had positive tests already. MotoGP say they're still going to Japan. I see it as unlikely. So
and Domenicali's saying 23 is going to happen.
So doubleheader at Coda.
Doubleheader
that
at Coda.
Increases Coda's opportunity.
All right. Well, thanks, gentlemen. Thanks, Alec Udell, Hunter McElrea. Appreciate you coming on. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in online and on the radio. And we'll talk to you next Sunday.
Ciao, y'all.
Happy trails.